Over $5 billion was withdrawn from Binance 2 days ago. Being able to monitor exchange flows like this is a superpower in crypto, and in situations like FTX and Celsius can be the difference between getting your funds out in time and not. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to become an on-chain detective yourself. As always, nothing I say is financial advice. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. Now let's get into it. The first tool that we'll use to get a high-level view of exchange balances is the DefiLlama Centralized Exchange Dashboard. To see the dashboard, go to DefiLlama.com/CEXS, sexes, and here you can see a catalog of 20 different exchanges and their proven on-chain assets. Now, not every exchange is here because some exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken don't have publicly known wallets, but you can, for example, see Binance here has $59 billion of assets on chain. And if you're wondering what the difference between the assets column and the clean assets column, basically clean assets are assets issued by the exchange itself. So for example, BNB would not count as a clean asset because Binance issued it itself. And this is really important because remember, part of the issue with FTX was a huge portion of their assets were actually tokens they had issued themselves, like FTT. Then if you scroll over here, you can also see net inflows or outflows, rather, depending on the day, for all these different exchanges. So for example, you can see that in the past 24 hours, Binance has experienced almost $200 million of inflows, but over the past week, they have still experienced a net $5 billion of outflows. Then if you want to dive deeper into the exchange, you can actually click on the name here. And for example, with Binance, we can see the change in balance over time. So we can see each day what their balance was. 2 days ago on the 12th, it was 65.72 billion. Yesterday it was 64.25, and then it dropped down to 60.57. And then if we scroll down further, we can actually see the net USD inflows or outflows by day. And so look how convenient that is. If you see people talking about stats like this much flowed in or out of an exchange, you can actually check it yourself here. And if you want to break down these USD inflows or outflows further into specific tokens, then you can scroll down here and see, for example, that most of the outflows from Binance were in Tether and BUSD, with smaller amounts in Bitcoin and ETH, while the exchange actually saw net inflows of USDC, interestingly. But perhaps tracking aggregate level exchange inflows and outflows isn't enough for you. Maybe you want to see specific wallets that might be withdrawing funds from exchanges. And this is in fact how you can get the most real-time, up-to-date info on what's going on with a particular exchange. So to do this, you're going to want to use Etherscan. Etherscan is the most common Ethereum blockchain explorer and can be used to track anything that happens on Ethereum, whether that's wallet balances, wallet transfers. If it's on Ethereum, it is on Etherscan. First place that you may want to go to start monitoring exchanges is Etherscan actually has a page that shows accounts for known funds. So if you go to etherscan.io/account/label/fund, this will also be linked in the description, then you can see dozens of accounts for particular funds, ranging from ones that are no longer active to accounts that have millions of Ether in them. And some of these are labeled. For example, we can see that this account here is for Jump Trading, a major trading fund. And this account has almost $100 million total in it. So pretty large wallet. And then if you were, for example, to scroll down here, you can see the different transactions they're making. And so you can see, for example, they withdrew 58 Ether from Coinbase 3 hours ago. That's not very much for a wallet like this. If we look at all of their transaction history, and for example, go back in time a few hours, then we can see that 9 hours ago, they withdrew about 575 Ether from KuCoin and 870 Ether from Binance. You can see that some of these accounts are labeled as well. And keep in mind, for a fund like this with $100 million, this is probably routine balancing, but this is how you can get an idea and actively monitor yourself whether these big funds, whether this smart money is depositing or withdrawing funds from exchanges. And so what if you want to get real-time updates as this wallet is making major transactions? Well, one way you can do that is you can go to the main page for this address, and then you see this heart icon here. You can click on it to add it to your watch list. And if you wish, you can actually choose to receive email alerts when the address sends or receives transactions. So for example, if you only want to see when they're withdrawing funds or receiving funds from places, you could click notify on incoming/receive transactions only, and then you would receive a notification when they withdrew Ethereum from an exchange. And if you want to also track stablecoins, be sure to check off also track ERC20 token transfers. And by the way, these methods would also work for tracking whale wallets or doing other interesting things with Etherscan. And now one thing you may also be noticing is that some of these wallets are labeled with exchange accounts. And that's because Etherscan also provides a functionality to track how much money is in exchange accounts yourself and to see what exactly is in those exchange accounts. So you can see that if I click onto that wallet, they have a Binance label. And you can also go to etherscan.io/accounts/label/Binance, and you will see all these different wallets. There's 53 of them in total. Some of them are not very active. Some of them are very active. And some of these have millions and millions of Ether. So that's, for those of you doing the math, billions of dollars. And yeah, so if you scroll down to some of these, you can actually look at the transactions that are going in or out of the wallets. I wouldn't recommend looking at each individual transaction because, as you can see, there are many every minute. However, if you go to the analytics tab within this wallet, then you can see various stats like the ETH account balance over time. You can see Ether transfers in or out. So for example, we can see whether more is coming in or out. We can see the same thing for token transfers. So a day with a lot of activity means that something is probably going on that's out of normal. We can see a transaction heat map to see which days have the most transactions. So yes, as predicted, that big day yesterday, there were an abnormal number of transactions from this wallet. And this is, again, just one wallet of Binance's. And Etherscan has catalogs of other known wallets as well. For example, they have a list of known KuCoin wallets, and they have a wallet labeled as Bybit, which has close to $200 million of crypto assets in it. But there's one clear problem with all of these things so far, and that is that although Etherscan has a wealth of information, it's not always the most user-friendly, and honestly, those analytics pages I showed you can be pretty confusing at times. So for this, we're going to use a tool known as DeBank. DeBank is a portfolio tracker that's really useful for tracking your own portfolio, but you can also use it for tracking other people's portfolios because everything is on chain. So for example, if we go back to that Binance 15 address from Etherscan, we can copy it to our clipboard, we can paste it here into DeBank, and then it will show us that it currently has $546 million across all different chains. And in this case, most of these assets are on Ethereum. In fact, the vast majority are. But we can scroll down here to the wallet and we can see exactly which assets are in this Binance wallet: USDT, BUSD, ETH, and we can see the dollar value of each of these holdings. So one thing that's cool about this is that you could actually use this with other wallets like whale wallets as well to see which DeFi farms they were in or which assets they were holding on chain. For example, we can go back to that Jump Trading address from earlier. We can paste that into DeBank as well. And let's see what they're holding. So they have about $86 million, again, mostly on Ethereum, but look, they have over $1 million on Celo. They have over $1 million on BNB. And so it's just an interesting way to learn about different opportunities and also to track where these large funds and exchanges are holding or sending money. With all these tools, you will be well on your way towards becoming an on-chain sleuth, detective, investigator, whatever you want to call yourself. If you want more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.